All right, so when we started on the process, Glenboro came to us and wanted us to analyze a portfolio of their buildings for the potential for LEED certification, energy conservation measures, as well as other sustainable features. We went through it with the Aventine as well as a bunch of other buildings, and we ran them through a LEED gap analysis to see where we're at. And the building had an Energy Star rating of 100. And we've labeled dozens and dozens of Energy Star buildings in the past, and seeing this building as an Energy Star rating of 100, we looked at each other and said, this can't be right. This isn't 100.
I mean, it was 100 when you came in, or?
Yeah, it wasn't 100 from the beginning, and we said, okay, well, this can't be right. They got to be doing something wrong here. And as part of our sustainability management program, first off, we go through a gap analysis with the property, and then we go through and do an energy audit of the building and verify all their systems that they have in place. And when we were getting ready to do the audit, and this is where Dave Munn comes in and does most of the work as far as the analysis, we were prepared to go in there and see, okay, what have they done wrong here on their Energy Star rating? There's no way they're 100. And sure enough, I mean, we did our walkthrough, and it was pretty much verified everything.
They had the systems in place that supported that kind of an Energy Star rating of 100. You saw the turbo core compressors that they had in place.
I understand that made a big difference.
That made a huge difference. And then the optimum energy system that they tied in with that to operate that central plant at the lowest kW per ton by adjusting all of the associated equipment with the chill water plant. And upon seeing that and all of the work that they've done on the lighting and other measures, I came away saying, yeah, these guys are an Energy Star rating of 100. I've not seen a building as efficient as this building.
So would you say properly commissioning the chiller plant probably has one of the biggest impacts to this building in particular?
In terms of the change that it made in their Energy Star rating, yes. Yeah. Now, obviously, you had to get the lighting done first to reduce that cooling load to enable you to turn down and fine-tune your chill water plant.
Good point.
So previous measures that had been implemented had additionally contributed, but that chill water plant had the biggest significant change.
Mm-hmm. So. At what point was Chelsea Group brought into the project?
Well, we were brought in probably about mid-2008, I guess, and that was when when Glenboro approached us about a portfolio level approach to their sustainable management program. And so they had us go through and benchmark all their facilities, see where they're all at, cost per square foot for energy, waste, water. And we did a whole breakout analysis for all of their properties, looking at potential energy measures that that they could save energy, and then looking at their potential for LEED certification. And this Aventine project, I mean, based on everything they already had in place, just seemed like the ideal dream project to do. And sure enough, like once we got into it, Carlos was willing to put on a white roof. We installed CO2 monitors. I'm trying to think what else we had implemented after we started the program.
And the CO2 monitors were a big piece of this because it was helping to prove out the outdoor airflow that was being delivered by each of the air handling systems. Mm-hmm. Doug Eagle did a great job of doing measurement on the outdoor air intakes. And then we put together an equation for calculating the fraction of outdoor air being introduced using the measured CO2 levels with the sensors that were installed. And that way we're able to prove out over time how much outdoor air is coming in at any one time. That also was a huge contributor on when they do a tenant build-out for the outdoor air flush-out procedure. After construction, but prior to occupancy, you need a certain amount of outdoor air delivered to the space per square foot, and that outdoor air has to be delivered and flushing out that space before the tenant occupies that area. Mm-hmm. And with the CO2 monitors in place, we were able to prove out how much outdoor air is introduced. So.
Yeah, so they had a lot of these measures already into place. It was really more so just a matter of documenting and, measurement and verifying everything that they had in place to prove it, on the LEED certification level, because this was already a sustainable building when we approached it. And so we just needed to help them, actually document it and prove it through the LEED process.
Baseline and continuous measurement.
Yeah, exactly. And through our sustainable management program, we benchmarked the facility 1 year, and this is supposed to be an ongoing thing where we do this on an annual basis and verify where the building's at, year upon year. And, as we go through recertification, that's when we'll learn a little bit more about, additional measures and the differences and savings that we've seen.
Like on a scale of 1 to 10, with all the buildings that you see, Aventine building, 10 being best, most efficient, most sustainable, best operated building, 1 being, a doghouse.
Sure.
Where would you rate Aventine?
12. It was just the idea. We've worked with lots of projects, and in comparison to all of the other projects I've worked with, the property team, it was all about the operations and maintenance and how they're running the building. And the engineer's on top of everything and wants to do everything the proper way. And if the ownership's willing to invest the money in those, additional measures to put like turbo core compressors in, for example, if you have the right people in place to make that work, then that's the critical element right there, I think.
Yeah, I think to make it all the way through to certification, you really need a champion on the ownership side to help push this thing through, because it can be a long process. It's not overnight, and there is a lot to it. And a lot of folks that we've seen actually start to wear out over time, and the progress starts to dwindle. Here, that was maintained throughout the course, and as a result, they were able to get their targeted level, which is
I liked hearing
phenomenal.
when Carlos was talking about, how he was kind of losing steam sometimes, during the course of the project. And I think kept saying, Chris, you would, you were, you had his back, and you were helping, keep him focused and moving down the path. And I really like the way, I like that kind of that coaching aspect, because it can't be simple all the way.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, it does get, and I need the same thing from Carlos sometimes, it just keeps going, and it is a long process to go through. Especially, like this is a building that was LEED ready essentially, and we just had to document it and verify everything. But even still, just putting all of the paperwork and everything together, it takes quite a bit of time, and it can be tedious, and it certainly burns out some people. And so long as we just stuck to our regular every 2 weeks, we're going to meet and we're going to walk through all of the credits, see where everybody's at, and so there was always somebody. If something wasn't done within that 2 week period, we know whose responsibility it was and who wasn't doing what needed to be done. So that kind of helped keep moving people a little bit, So,
well, you guys must be very proud of what you've done here.
Well, Chris did a great job of managing it, and did so by developing task lists at each meeting, with assignments. Who is responsible for what by next meeting? So it's all kind of baby steps through the process until we got all the way through it.
Just basic project management.
That's correct.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are familiar with LEED, and people that are LEED APs, but the time that you really need to dive into reference guides and credits to really learn what's involved with the LEED process takes a long time to really get it down. And this property team, they're very proactive with it. They went out, they bought a reference guide, and we're doing everything they could to do things from their end. But it really takes a while to figure out what you need to do for each individual credit, and so that's kind of where we really help push them through. Is we try and simplify the process for them a little bit and kind of explain things more in layman's terms, what the reference guide's saying, and the very technical jargon. So,
or the LEED speak, as we
LEED
often
speak.
refer to it.
Anything else you guys like to share about maybe your experience with the project?
I'll just say, like I said, I've worked with a lot of property teams, and I said this earlier, and a lot of them just kind of see this as an enemy almost. They say, well, I run a great building already. I don't need this certification to tell me that I'm running a great building. But, you can't prove it unless you really have a way of measuring that, And so this process is something where we've gone through this with a lot of properties, and we've had some that have said, started out saying, we don't buy into this, we don't buy into this, and they learn a lot about their own buildings in the process just by, implementing new preventive maintenance programs and, documenting, figuring out where all their meters are actually heading to, and, you find all kinds of little mistakes and little things that they didn't know about when all along they thought that they were running a great building, so, so it definitely has been great to help out some of these, to help improve some of these buildings.
I can add to that by saying that a lot of the processes that you go through, although painful during the application process often because of the time and the commitment necessary, once they're in place, it's a lot easier to maintain. The tough part is getting them in place, and that's what this whole application process was all about, was getting those procedures and policies nailed down and actually practiced. From an overall perspective, I can tell you this is a very satisfying day to see it finally come and see the platinum plaque. Haven't seen too many of those, so it's really special, a special moment to see that.
You guys have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah.
I just want to thank you very much for spending some time with us today.
All right, not a problem. Thank you. Appreciate it.